I know that a couple people said they couldn't join us today, so I always record just in case, because I know we have one student that has a schedule conflict and can't be here at all. So I always try to record for them. So as I mentioned in the chat and we talked about last week, uh, you are working on your online sales work in progress for your personal product. So this week I'm asking you to have a rough draft ready to discuss today. Hopefully, most of you have something you can show us that you've made some progress on your project. So the goal for today was to have your logo and or your website updated and a social media graphic, or just show whatever progress that you have made so far. So if you want to go ahead and get those ready, and that final WIP is actually due on Friday. So these are the instructions. We introduced this last week, so hopefully you've had time to make some progress on that, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But first I want to go over some tips on social media for business. And some of these are just good overall tips. Let me switch. Uh, just for social media in general, I think social media should be an important part of your strategy. So let's just talk about that for a little bit. So when you go to create a post, there's sort of a formula that you should follow for best results. First thing, you should have a catchy, what's called a caption, but really it's just like a headline that draws attention to your post. And one thing that people do to increase engagement is to ask a question. Sometimes artists will put up two different versions of their work, and they'll ask their audience, do you prefer A or B? And the goal really isn't so much to take a poll on what people think is the best, but really just to increase engagement on your post. And that can make your post climb upwards in visibility for your viewers. Sometimes people like to add little emojis to connect a little bit more emotion to your post because you're working in an asynchronous style here. Conveying some kind of emotion through an emoji or some little, icon to indicate anything from a season to the weather to a feeling adds a little bit more character to your posts. One thing that is really helpful is having a clear call to action. So you want to think about, what is it that I want my viewers to do when they see this post? Um, am I just wanting to boost engagement? And if so, you might ask a question. Sometimes you are purposefully trying to direct your viewers to click on a link to a product or an offering. So you want to make it really clear, what is it that you want them to do. Mentions are good. So when you use an @ sign and then somebody's nickname or whatever their screen name is, that connects you to other people, and they'll get an alert. So and so has mentioned you in their post. So sometimes people will @ an influencer or a celebrity and try to get uh, someone in the industry. Maybe there's a famous game developer and you mention them with an @ symbol, and try to get them to look at your post or get them to comment on it, which increases your credibility. There might be increased shares, etc. I know it's been about 10 years ago, but I used to do a lot of jewelry design, and the specific style that I worked in was very like steampunk inspired. And there was a kind of well-known steampunk artist, and I posted my work to a forum, and I didn't mention him, but he just happened to stumble on my work and he left a comment, and it like not only did it make me feel really good that this famous artist was, you know, basically saying good job on my artwork, but a lot of other people saw it and they went to my website and it increased my views. So, trying to connect with influencers or other people in your industry is a good idea. One of the most important things you can do in a social media post is to have hashtags. So, having relevant keywords. A lot of times people go on Instagram or other social media and they'll search for keywords for something they're interested in. So, having those hashtags with those keywords helps connect you to the audience that's looking for that specific thing. And then, of course, it's been proven over and over that images or video is far more successful than text alone. So it's really important to have compelling, high quality visuals that are tailored to your brand and your audience. So, some of the types of hashtags that you might use in your post, some of them might be related to some kind of campaign or a brand event. Some of you are familiar with Inktober. It's just a hashtag for artists that vow to make a new sketch every day throughout October. Um, and people will go on Instagram and other places and they'll do a hashtag search for Inktober. Other popular days are Here to Create or Art of the Day. So look for campaigns that you can sort of jump on that bandwagon and get involved in. Another hashtag that is popular is related to your industry or product. So, an industry might be something like animation or game design, or a product like a software like Blender or Autodesk Maya. Um, the 3D modeling community has a lot of different hashtags, Unreal Engine for game devs, etc. So, and you can combine multiple hashtags. So you could have um, hashtag art of the day, hashtag uh, Blender, hashtag game design, or whatever. You can add multiple hashtags to your post. You might also look into what is your particular niche that you're trying to fill. Maybe something like 3D character or indie dev, concept art, storyboards. So, a lot of times people will go on social media and they're looking for ideas for storyboarding. And so they'll do a search on everything with the storyboard hashtag. Or just simple descriptive hashtags. Um, those are also good for, like, if somebody wants to see illustrations of a sci fi game or fashion illustration or whatever. So, putting a hashtag or two, I wouldn't get carried away, maybe three at the most, but those help increase your search engine rankings and it helps other people find your posts. The other thing you should do is have a clear call to action. If you're going to all the trouble to put up a post, why? What is it that you want your viewers to do when they see that? Having a clear call to action might be something like increasing your reach by asking other people to share your post. And I find this works really easily and simply. Like, I promote events from time to time, and I've noticed that putting an event up on my public page is one thing, but asking people to share gets a lot more shares. And it's just a real simple act, please like and share. And it really helps boost your post. If you want people to click on a link, keep in mind that you are taking your viewers off social media. And we all know that social media is a bit addictive. It produces dopamine in your brain, and that's why people scroll on their phones when they're bored. So if you are asking people to drop their social media to click on a link, it has to be really compelling. There has to be a good reason for them to click on it. Um, Awareness. If you combine a really good image or video and hashtags, it boosts your customer awareness and retains it in their memory, and they might come back to it later. Even if they didn't click on it right away, they might recall that they saw something on social media and they might come back to it and look for it again. So some tips for a good call to action is to use action words. And here are some, like download, subscribe, contact us, visit our website, watch our video, like and share. Be very specific and very clear. Don't beat around the bush. Don't mince words. Just get to the point. What do you want people to do? Create that sense of urgency. Maybe you're having a sale and you want to say, sale expires in 5 days. Click the link now. So creating a sense of urgency gets people to be more likely to act on it. Offering something valuable, again, a discount, a free item. And all of those call to actions, they just help reinforce your brand. That's what this is all about, is getting that name recognition built up. Eye-catching visuals are probably one of the most important elements of a social media post. Some of the things that really attract a viewer and make your post what they call sticky, which is where people stop scrolling for a second and they really look at it. People gravitate towards faces. They really get drawn to people's eyes or expression. I read a case study a while back where there was a hair color brand in the supermarket, and for years they had just had a nice picture of just the hair, just like the side of someone's face with the nice colored hair dye. And they changed the box design to focus more on the woman's eyes. So they zoomed in more on the model's eyes and kind of had like a lock of hair coming down beside her eye, but they made the eyes more prominent, and it increased sales by like 20%, because humans, we are biologically hardwired from birth as infants. One of the first things that infants recognize are their mother's face and their eyes. So it's just something we're born with. So something with a compelling expression, big eyes, those kind of things draw people's attention immediately. That's another reason why, if you look at like wood paneling or just strange random designs in nature, we tend to see faces like in the wood paneling, because we are hardwired to look for faces. So anytime you can include something like that in your post, it's going to generate more interest. Motion, so any kind of video or animated GIF, also increases attention. So if there's a way to add motion to your posts, that's good. You want to avoid cheesy clip art and always try to use your own work whenever possible. Also, check the size and the proportions for that format of social media. So like Instagram has a different size than Facebook. All these different platforms, they have a little bit different proportion, and you can look those up. There's lots of graphs and tables online for that. Also, things tend to look different on mobile than they do on a computer. So you want to make sure that your graphic isn't getting cut off, or just try to size it appropriately for all platforms. Telling stories with emotion is always a good way to hook people. So, if somebody has a GoFundMe and they just say, hey, my cat needs an operation, will you give me money? That's probably not going to generate as much clicks as telling this story about this sad rainy day when you rescued this cat from an alley and you took it home, and now, like telling that whole emotional story, it draws people in and it gets them more willing to take action. You want to convey a clear message, and you always want to have high quality images with good resolution. So anything bright, colorful, uh, clear, easy to understand what's going on. So in this post, it's very clear. This is a web development workshop. It tells exactly the date, the time, all the contact info is right there, and there's bright colored graphics in the background. So that's another good example. Some tips for your posts to make them stand out. Uh, have a clear visual strategy. Have a single focal point so it's not confusing. If you have multiple points that you want to make, you might want to break those up into separate posts. Make it memorable so it's not confusing. Make things high contrast and easy to read. Keep it simple, so again, only have like one main idea per post, and stay consistent with your branding. So maybe you always use the same color palette, or you always put your logo in the corner of your work. Try to draw it back to your branding. Some other tips are understanding what appeals to your target audience. So most of us begin projects with, I like this thing. I'm going to do this thing that I like. But when you're trying to sell something, you have to flip that around and understand your audience and what do they like. And you have to connect with that audience. Does anyone have any examples of something that they've done that maybe did or did not connect with an audience?
I don't really think I have any.
Okay. And that just really takes experience. So the more you do this kind of thing, the more you'll be able to gauge responses. Again, size your images to the right specs. So create posts in different sizes for each thing. And also proofread your posts. Have a friend look them over. Don't have typos on there. Typos can look amateurish. So if you can, get someone else to look over your post, or just copy and paste it into Word, or some kind of spell checker. Another thing is sometimes people get caught up in some kind of social media faux pas, and you want to avoid that at all costs. In this case, DiGiorno Pizza, um, they made a post that was actually in very poor taste because they didn't know what the social media hashtag campaign was about. Did anybody hear about this?
No, I did not hear about that. I heard about when Burger King posted that women belong in the kitchen. That was a pretty bad one.
Why did they put that?
Because they were trying to hire more women, so they're like, oh, women belong in the kitchen only if they want to work at Burger King, you know?
Yeah, I don't imagine that went over real well. Uh,
Yeah.
in the case of DiGiorno's Pizza, there was a hashtag going around called Why I Stayed, and they answered it with because he had pizza.
Oh my God.
The Why I Stayed campaign was about women who are trapped in cycles of domestic abuse.
Uh,
Yeah, big oof.
uh,
So they had to make a big apology.
I mean, it's funny.
Yeah, that was.
It's a good meme post,
Yeah,
but you can't really meme with those kind of people.
Or
yeah.
like,
So
Nintendo's had a couple unfortunate ones. I'm not sure if they're real. Um, I think they posted something about Black History Month with a picture of Donkey Kong, which was
oh
really
no.
unfortunate.
Yeah. So think twice before you post or comment. Um, don't post anything that might be controversial political or tone deaf. We all have opinions. We all have opinions on politics or whatever. Um, Keep those on your private page. You know, if you feel like you have to comment on something, like keep it private. Don't mix up your brand, your professional image with that. Um, and I'll give you a really prime example of that. For a long time, I did a lot of marketing for Purdue Polytechnic. And so one of the things I would do regularly is to check reviews for Purdue. And there was a Purdue student that wrote a Google review for Purdue. And in his review, he said, "There's too many damn foreigners here who don't know how to speak English. My math professor is a blank
Oh my
racial
god.
slur." Um, and it just went on. He used his real name, and
What the
I
hell?
very quickly found him on LinkedIn. So, you know, if you write a review for Google, if you write a review on Amazon, and you're using your real name, those things can be linked back to you. So just be professional online. You're in public, whether you realize it or not. Has anyone else ever come across a situation like that?
I know a lot of actors and voice actors are losing roles and fan support based on their support of Israel or Palestine.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Most famously, the woman that was in The Mandalorian, she was let go by Disney because she had opinions that she felt the world needed to be aware of. I think regarding the trans community and some other things. Um, and so she thought the world needed to hear her opinions on that, and Disney let her go. And now she's suing Disney. So that's gotten ugly.
You never really win when you get in there, when you get into that area.
Yeah, I would say just
You
keep it
always lose.
professional. Yeah. Um, I used to work for a very corporate environment, and they had an event, and there was alcohol served at the event. It was a social event. It was a like a ball. You know, it was a big social event, and someone snapped a picture of me and my friends, and we had wine glasses in our hand, and that got posted to social media. I mean, I'm over 21. Everything was perfectly legal. It was, you know, a normal event. My boss asked me to take that image off of social media because it might give the wrong impression. Uh, so just very innocent things. I heard somebody got asked to take down their post because they were holding a red Solo cup at a party, and they're like, "I was drinking soda." It's like, it doesn't matter. A red Solo cup might imply that you were having alcohol. Um, so, you know,
It's
people
getting
get.
even worse now with people using AI on oh, what's the word? When going through different applications and stuff. 'Cause I saw this guy got his application denied based on the fact that his birthday was on April 20th,
Oh,
that it wasn't in line with the company standards.
oh my gosh. Yeah, that seems really unfair. Uh, but just know that these kind of things can happen, and you just kind of have to be prepared to roll with it. There are always trolls on the internet. Just don't engage with the haters. Just always take the high road. Um, Also, in your post, try not to appear too self serving or desperate. Um, you know, I think some examples of that are when people try to tie into a charity, but they're like they're being opportunistic about it. So be cautious about that. Um, Try to always be inclusive and respectful. So, don't inadvertently put up any stereotypes. You should always respect diversity. Obviously, you don't want to have pictures of you like smoking or drinking or doing anything like that. Um, be aware that your public comments in reviews can get linked to your other accounts. And just any sort of questionable images that might not be perceived well by your target audience. Um, Another thing to consider is posting to multiple platforms because different target audiences follow different platforms. I think you're all pretty aware that Facebook skews older, whereas Instagram skews younger. And if you really want to reach the youngest social media, you want to look at something like TikTok or Snapchat. So each social media platform has its own target audience. You can also link a static post to a video. So maybe you have just a static 2D image and then say, click here to watch my YouTube video. So you can draw people from one platform to the other. Um, Consistency, just posting regularly, consistently, keeps you top of mind for people. The more familiar they become with you, the more they'll engage with you. And checking your statistics, you can go into a lot of platforms and look at how many people viewed your post. So it's good to know which types of posts are gaining traction. So understand who is your target audience. Um, Make sure that your social media has hashtags so people can search on it. Um, Understand how you're going to connect with people if they want to reach out to you. So, do you have an email address they can write to you? Do you have a Discord handle that they can chat with you? So, how do you interface with people? Um, and you may want to adjust your tactics depending on what works or doesn't work for you. Does anyone else have any other tips for social media? How many of you are engaging on social media professionally with your designs?
I don't really get on social media as much as I need to.
I think it's something you're going to have to get more comfortable with if you really want to get your name and your product out there. Spencer, do you post on social media much? I know you have a lot of cool designs.
Um, I've just found it's really hard to have a consistent following on Twitter anymore, and that was the main place I used to post things. Um, if you don't know, Twitter actually has like certain safeguards against artists. You're not allowed to include links to like Patreon or GoFundMe or Ko-fi or whatever in a tweet anymore. Um, your tweet will be taken down if you have those. And I guess an artist pissed off Elon Musk or something because I think he posted something about AI art, and an artist said, "Why don't you just draw it?" So they got blocked, and then he had everybody on his everybody at Twitter apparently reworked the program so that uh, it won't let you tweet anything about art anymore. Like
Wow.
it key searches certain things and blocks your tweets from being seen. Like the word commissions is blocked. I'm certain I'm sure there's certain hashtags that are blocked.
Isn't this the
Um,
guy who took over Twitter because he wanted freedom of speech?
yeah. There was somebody spoke out against them, like a celebrity, the other day, and they got blocked immediately. And everybody's like, "Whoa, hang on a second."
Yeah.
um, I would say if you're gonna do one and you want to have to feel like you have a strong following or get your art out there, probably go with Tumblr
Yeah, Tumblr's another good one. Yeah.
or Instagram. I hear is really good.
Yeah. I think Instagram probably has a wider reach, but Tumblr is good for certain niche areas.
Hmm.
Yeah, I dropped out of a class I was taking. I got to take free Purdue Global classes, and one of the assignments was that we had to use Twitter regularly and make posts about our profession. And she gave me a 0 on an assignment because I posted to Instagram instead of Twitter. And I'm
Hmm.
like, you know what? I'm out. I dropped the class because
Yeah.
I didn't want to engage with X or Twitter or whatever it is now. So,
My girlfriend is active on Tumblr and Twitter, and the same post, like verbatim, post the exact thing on both platforms will get like 5 likes on Twitter and like 10,000 over on Tumblr.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so switching over, we want to talk about your online sales. You've been developing your product, working on it, and hopefully you've had a chance to start developing an action plan. So your product might not be fully realized yet, you're still working on it, but you also need to come at it from the other side of being prepared for when it is realized. So you're sort of doing a dual channel approach. You're developing your product and at the same time you're developing your strategy for how you're going to get that product out there. So you've all done some research and decided what platforms you want to use to get your product out there. And now you have to start thinking about, okay, now I really need to get it in gear. How do I really start developing that strategy for getting that product onto the page? So you should have a logo. Part of this whole brand identity is having a logo and a color scheme and things like that to emphasize your personal brand. Um, your website needs to be updated regularly and have it ready for your product to have a place on your website. You may also need to get an online store account. So if you're going to become a seller on Etsy or Redbubble or whatever, you need to start setting up that account with them. And then how are you going to connect people to your website or your store? And that is generally through social media. So, what is the social media post that will get eyeballs on your product and direct them to your point of sale? So, for this week's assignment, it's due at the end of the week. You should just write up a brief paper. Does not have to be anything, official or academic. Just get out a Word document or a Google Doc or whatever. But paste your logo, a website banner, or a link to a site that you are developing. So any of this can be a work in progress or under construction, but we need to see what progress you are making. So basically, this is like show me that you're taking the first steps towards this. So what is the website? What is the online store? What is it that you will be selling? So um, put in your social media post. You don't have to actually post it if you don't feel your product is quite ready for prime time yet, but do a mock-up. Do a template or something that once your product is perfected, you can just paste it in there and say what platform it's for. So, is it formatted for Tumblr or Instagram or Facebook or whatever? So, this is just a work in progress, but we want to see that you are not only working on the product itself, but also thinking about your overall strategy of how you're going to actually sell your product. Okay, so that's the assignment. Does anyone have any progress that they want to show or ask any questions?
I don't really have any progress other than I started setting up my Etsy store page. Right now, I'm having to wait for my bank information to be processed.
Okay. So do you have anything at all on your like a prototype of your Etsy store page or
Um, no, not yet, cause I don't know how that'll look until the bank information has been processed. It won't let me go any further until that's been processed.
okay. And how about your product itself? Have you connected with the companies that will be making and shipping your product?
No, but I know I'm going to be using Sticker Mule.
Okay. So this week you should try to make it a goal to set up an account with them as well and make sure that you know what file formats they accept and, image size and all that.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
definitely a good idea.
yeah, start interfacing with Sticker Mule so that you know how to get your product set up with them so that they can then just plug into your Etsy store.
Okay.
Okay. Casey, how about you? Where are you at in your process?
I figured out what I'm gonna say in my social media post, and I'm going to post it on Facebook, Instagram, and now that Spencer said something about Tumblr, how that can be a good option, I'm thinking about posting it on Tumblr as well.
Okay. Okay. And you are going through, was it CG Trader or where are you selling your work?
Sketchfab.
Sketchfab. Okay. And did you say you do have your account set up with them?
I do, I just need to have the next step into putting in my information so I can go ahead and sell the product.
Okay. All right. Oliver, where are you in the process?
I just need to actually like perfect it. It's my product isn't completely done, and I probably want to add a few more versions to it. But the store is done to the part of design because there was only like two options.
Okay. Yeah. So you've got your this is the booth service that will sell those avatars, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you're making progress on setting all that up. Cool. All right. And Spencer, how about you?
Unfortunately, I'm still kind of playing catch up with everything. I haven't had a chance to devote much time to this class, but I plan to um, work a lot on that assignment today.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions for me about the assignment or just anything that we've gone over in general?
Is it okay if I ask for some feedback on something?
Sure.
So for my social media post, I was thinking about posting this. Looking to put a bit of magic in your models? Look no further than this bundle right here. For only $10, this bundle contains 2 types of trees, 2 types of potions, a magical book, campfire with a cauldron, and a witch's hut. Link down below to purchase.
That sounds good. I would edit out the words right here because
Mm-hmm.
that you can shorten it by removing those two words
Okay.
and make your call to action a little more strong.
Mm-hmm.
What was that last line again?
Link down below to purchase.
Click the link to purchase.
Okay.
Yeah. You're very very clearly telling them what you want them to do.
Also, I would say you used the word bundle twice, pretty close together. You might want to get rid of the first instance of it because I don't think it's really needed.
Okay.
That sounds good so far. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or feedback on anything?
Not really.
Okay. Well, that's all I have for today. Feel free to review that PowerPoint for any tips, things you want to cover when you're making your social media posts. You might want to just go back through that PowerPoint just to be sure. And make sure you turn in your work in progress by Friday and keep working on your product itself. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, bye.
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 Bye.